Doctor Who is going through a difficult period of its life. Ratings are down and more fans are leaving the franchise on an unprecedented scale. With the threat of the show possibly going on to another hiatus, Doctor Who needs something short of a miracle to save it. With Jodie Whitaker rumoured to be leaving after series 12, along with showrunner Chris Chibnall, it's that time again to think about who ought to play. There have been many suggestions, running from James McAvoy to Benedict Cumberbatch, and don't get me wrong, I think these sound great ideas, but I don't think there's another actor around today so perfectly suited to play the Doctor as David Thewlis. He's well known enough to be recognised as a great actor, but also doesn't have the stardom of people like Benedict Cumberbatch that could detract from the character he's portraying. He's done quite a bit of work in both film and television, including Harry Potter and Fargo as an example of each. This would see the return of an older, more serious Doctor, the likes we haven't seen for quite some time, and would be a great shake-up after the rather naff, light-hearted Doctors of recent years. When it was announced that Peter Capaldi was taking over from Matt Smith, there was excitement at an older, more grown-up Doctor returning to the show after several decades of Doctors getting younger and younger. I feel this would be a similar welcome step for many fans. So in this video, I'm going to present to you some clips from Thewlis' other works to show you why he would make such a good Doctor. I'm going to start with the more tenuous links and thematic similarities and progressively work towards the grand finale, the best argument, for want of a better word, of why I believe David Thewlis makes the perfect Doctor Who. Thewlis famously portrayed Professor Remus Lupin in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. As his character is written in the books, Thewlis presents a wonderfully believable, warm-hearted and caring man who only wants the best for those around him. This scene, where he discusses Dementors with Harry, depicts a Doctor who would work well with a companion. The fatherly figure, but also allowing them freedom and danger so as not to mollycoddle them, but rather train them to become useful in their own right, earn their right to travel with him, and to share his compassion.
Professor, why do the Dementors affect me so? I mean, more than everyone else.
Listen, the Dementors are amongst the foulest creatures to walk this earth. They feed on every good feeling, every happy memory, until a person is left with absolutely nothing but his worst experiences. You are not weak, Harry. The Dementors affect you most of all because there are true horrors in your past, horrors your classmates can scarcely imagine. You have nothing to be ashamed of.
I'm scared, Professor.
Well, I'd consider you a fool if you weren't.
I need to know how to fight them. You could teach me. You made that Dementor on the train go away.
There was only one that night.
But you made it go away.
Well, I don't pretend to be an expert, Harry. But as the Dementors seem to have developed a particular interest in you, perhaps I should teach you. But after the holidays. For now, I need to rest.
In a similar scene, we hear Lupin talk to Harry about his parents. This could easily be substituted for the Doctor consoling his companion in time of need.
Well, I'm very impressed. That suggests that what you fear the most is fear itself. This is very wise.
Before I fainted, I heard something. A woman. Screaming.
Well, Dementors force us to relive our very worst memories. Our pain becomes their power.
I think it was my mother. The night she was murdered.
You know, the very first time I saw you, Harry, I recognized you immediately. Not by your scar, by your eyes. They're your mother, Lily's.
Yes. Oh, yes. I knew her.
Your Your mother was there for me at a time when no one else was. Not only was she a singularly gifted witch, she was also an uncommonly kind woman. She had a way of seeing the beauty in others, even and perhaps most especially when that person could not see it in themselves. And your father, James, on the other hand, he had a certain, shall we say, talent for trouble. A talent, rumor has it, he passed on to you. You're more like them than you know, Harry. In time, you'll come to see just how much.
The next clip is taken from the BBC rendition of the play An Inspector Calls by J.B. Priestley, written in the 40s. In the original text, a mysterious inspector arrives at the house of a family following the suspected suicide of a girl. The inspector carefully manipulates each of the central characters into admitting, directly or indirectly, that their actions may have led to the ultimate suicide. He finishes with a warning that demonstrates Thulis's ability to command a scene, to speak these foreboding monologues with which the Doctor often confronts his enemies and foes.
But just remember this. There are millions and millions of Eva Smiths and John Smiths still left with us with their lives and hopes and fears. There's suffering and chance of happiness, all intertwined with our lives and what we think and say and do. We don't live alone upon this earth. We are responsible for each other. And if mankind will not learn that lesson, then the time will come soon when he will be taught it in fire and blood and anguish. Good night.
And at the end of the play, after he leaves, the family receive a phone call to tell them a police inspector is on his way to interview them. Who was this mysterious inspector then? Was he even real? Inspector who? This shows us a darker, more serious side to the Doctor when needed. A welcome departure from what we've got from series 10 onwards, really. The next portion of this video will look specifically at Thulis's character Johnny in the 1993 film Naked, in which he plays a Mancunian with all the characteristics of the Doctor. He has the dry humour and quick intelligent wit of a socially awkward madman in a box.
What's your name, son?
Brian.
Hello, Brian. Johnny. Well, Brian, congratulations. You succeeded in convincing me that you do have the most tedious fucking job in England.
Come on.
The casual, mad and jittery explanations of the timey-wimey universe, reminiscent of both Matt Smith's Doctor and David Tennant's.
I tell you what, it's a cracking place you got, love.
Good, I'm glad you like it.
No, I was being sarcastic.
Why didn't you tell me you were coming? I would have met you off the train.
I didn't come on the fucking train.
Off the bus
I
then?
didn't come on a bus either.
So how did you get here then?
Well, basically, there was this little dot, right? And the dot went bang, and the bang expanded, energy formed into matter, matter cooled, matter lived, the amoeba the fish the fowl the froggy the mammal the monkey the man, a moa massa mat, quid pro quo, memento mori, ad infinitum, sprinkle on a little bit of grated cheese, and leave under the grill till doomsday.
So you haven't changed?
Now, watch these couple of scenes where Johnny is talking to a security card about the past and future, apocalypse of mankind, and the philosophy and theology of life. And you'll very quickly begin to understand why I believe David Thulis was born to play the Doctor. I'm not going to say too much during this so that you can gauge the full experience and understanding of the scenes and feel the subtle doctory nuances that come across in the character.
So you think you can make the present palatable by projecting into the future? You're living in the past, pal. It's the future that fucks you up, Brian. It's the maggot in the apple. You see, you're all pissed off with the present, Brian, and there's nothing wrong with the present. The present's fine. The present's perfect. The present's peachy fucking creamy. The only thing wrong with the present is the bastard doesn't exist. Because the present is the future and the future is the past. And it's all the same fucking bag of bones anyway. It's a constant process of coming into being and passing away, coming into being and passing away. The future is now.
But the present does exist. We're in it now.
You were just then when you said it, but you're not in it now. You're not in it now. You're not in it now. You've forever been kicked up the arse by the future. You with me?
That's what I mean. You see, I'm in the present. But I'm not in the present. I'm in the future. Exactly.
Has nobody not told you, Brian, that you've got this kind of gleeful preoccupation with the future? I wouldn't even mind, but you don't even have a fucking future. I don't have a future. Nobody has a future. The party's over. Take a look around you, man. It's all breaking up. Are you not familiar with the book of Revelations of St. John, the final book of the Bible, prophesying the apocalypse?
Yes, as it happens, I'm familiar with all the books of the Bible.
I'm very happy for you. He forced everyone to receive a mark on his right hand or on his forehead so that no one shall be able to buy or sell unless he has the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of his name, and the number of the beast is 666.
666, I know about it.
Great.
I know about Nostradamus. Nostradamus talked about 3 brothers. Now, did he mean the Kennedy brothers, or was he talking about 3 bits of the Soviet Union? You see, you just can't tell.
Fuck Nostradamus. I'm not talking about Nostradamus, a Mother Shipton, a Russell Grant, a Mystic fucking Meg. I'm talking about the holy fucking book. What can such a specific prophecy mean? What is the mark? Well, the mark, Brian, is the barcode, the ubiquitous barcode that you'll find on every bog roll, on every packet of Johnnies, on every poxy pork pie, and every fucking barcode is divided into 2 parts by 3 markers, and those 3 markers are always represented by the number 6. 6, 6, 6. Now, what does it say? No one shall be able to buy or sell without that mark. And now, what they're planning to do in order to eradicate all credit card fraud and in order to precipitate a totally cashless society, what they're planning to do, what they've already tested on the American troops, they're going to subcutaneously laser tattoo that mark onto your right hand or onto your forehead. They're going to replace plastic with flesh. Fact. In the same book of Revelations, when the 7 seals are broken open on the day of judgment and the 7 angels blow the trumpets, when the 3rd angel blows her bugle, wormwood will fall from the sky. Wormwood will poison a 3rd part of all the waters and a 3rd part of all the land, and many, many, many people will die. Now, do you know what the Russian translation for wormwood is?
No.
Chernobyl. Fact. On August the 18th, 1999, the planets of our solar system are going to line up into the shape of a cross.
I don't believe in astrology.
I'm not talking about astrology, I'm talking about astronomy. They're going to line up in the fixed signs of Aquarius, Leo, Taurus and Scorpio, which just happen to correspond to the 4 beasts of the apocalypse as mentioned in the book of Daniel. Another fucking fact. You want me to go on? The end of the world is nigh, bride. The game is up.
I don't believe that. Life can't just come to a stop.
All right, I'm not saying that life will end or the world will end or the universe will cease to exist, but man will cease to exist. Just like the dinosaurs passed into extinction, the same thing will happen to us. We're not fucking important. We're just a crap idea.
I'm not going to cease to exist. I'm going to be here in the future.
What is this fucking fixation with the future? Listen, pal, I've got chronic systolic palpitations and acute fucking neuralgia.
Let me ask you a question.
What?
Have you ever had the sense that you've lived in a time different from this one?
What, you mean like in a past life?
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, well, in my past life, I was dead.
Oh, you see, I wasn't. I know I was here in the past, before I was born. So I know I'm going to be here in the future after I've died.
I see. And in this alternative existence, did you still have the same noxious body odour?
There's no need to be personal. It's what I believe.
Shall I tell you what I believe?
You don't believe in anything.
Oh, I do, Brian.
Yeah? What do you believe?
Do you think that the amoeba ever dreamed that it would evolve into the frog? Of course it didn't. And when that first frog shimmied out of the water and employed its vocal cords in order to attract a mate or to retard a predator, do you think that that frog ever imagined that that incipient croak would evolve into all the languages of the world, into all the literature of the world? Of course it fucking didn't. And just as that Froggy could never possibly have conceived of Shakespeare, so we can never possibly imagine our destiny.
I know what my destiny is.
Yeah, but what you're experiencing, as far as I can gather, with all these manifestations of regression and precognition and transmigratory astral fucking chatterings, is just the equivalent of that first primeval grunt. Because evolution isn't over. Man isn't the be-all and fucking end-all. Look, if you take the whole of time represented by 1 year, we're only in the first few moments of the 1st of January. There's a long way to go. Only now we're not going to sprout extra limbs and wings and fins because evolution itself is evolving. And whereas you, through some process of extra sensory recall, might imagine that you were some, I don't know, some 17th century little Dutch girl living in a windmill in old Amsterdam, one day you'll realise that you've had not just one or two past or future existences, but that you were and are everybody and everything that has ever been or will ever be. You must. By the very definition of apocalypse, mankind must cease to exist, at least in a material form.
What do you mean in a material form?
Well, he'll evolve.
What into?
Into something that transcends matter. Into a species of pure thought. Are you with me?
Yeah. Like a ghost.
No, not like a fucking ghost, you big girl's blouse. Into something that's like well beyond our comprehension. Into a universal consciousness. Into God, who is, by the same principle that time is.
You don't believe in God?
Of course I believe in God. Well, let's face it, good exists in order to be fucked up by evil. The very existence of good enables evil to flourish. Therefore, God is bad. And it doesn't matter how many past or future existences you have, because they're all going to be riddled with grief and anguish and sickness and death. You see, Brian, God doesn't love you. God despises you. So there's no hope. And mankind is just a component of the device by which the devil creates itself. You with me? You see, what I'm saying basically is you can't make an omelette without cracking a few eggs, and humanity is just a cracked egg. And the omelette stinks.
Yeah.
So, David Thewlis, the next Doctor Who? Probably not, because the BBC seems to want to inject every amount of identity politics into the show as is humanly, or Time Lordly, possible. Being yet another older, white man wouldn't sit well with the BBC's creative team and higher management. But we can hope. He might just be the man to bring Doctor Who back from the brink.